The radio warned them about a fire. Before the smoke started, Jack and Clara just wanted a quiet weekend away from the city. They found the perfect spot, a remote cabin nestled deep in the woods, miles from the nearest town. It was rustic, charming, and completely cut off from the world. No cell service, no internet, just an old, dusty radio sitting on the mantelpiece. On their first night, with a storm raging outside, Jack fiddled with the radio's dial. Most stations were just static, but he finally landed on one with a clear signal. An old-timey announcer's voice filled the room, smooth and calm. It was a local station, broadcasting news and weather. They listened for a bit, enjoying the cozy atmosphere, the fire crackling in the hearth. Then the announcer's tone shifted. "A special bulletin for residents near Silver Creek area," he said. "A fire has been reported in a rental cabin. Authorities are on their way." Jack and Clara exchanged a nervous glance. Silver Creek was where they were. "The fire appears to have started from a faulty fireplace," the voice continued. They both looked at their perfectly contained fire. It seemed fine. Maybe it was a different cabin. But then the announcer said something that made their blood run cold. "The cabin is described as having a green armchair in the corner and a painting of a ship above the bed." Jack slowly turned his head and looked at the green armchair by the window. Clara's eyes darted to the wall above their bed, where the painting of a storm-tossed ship hung. It was their room. Every detail was exact. Before they could process it, a faint, acrid smell tickled their noses. Smoke. A thin wisp was curling out from the top of the fireplace mantel. The announcer was right. It wasn't a prediction. It was happening right now. They scrambled to put out the small fire, which was quickly spreading behind the wall. After a frantic few minutes with a fire extinguisher, they managed to contain it. "How could he have known?" Clara whispered, her voice trembling. "He described the room, the fire, everything." Jack, a man of logic, refused to believe in the supernatural. "There has to be an explanation," he insisted. "Maybe it's a prank, some elaborate setup for tourists." He looked at the radio. There was a phone number mentioned for the station earlier for song requests. "I'm calling them." Clara begged him not to. Something felt deeply wrong about it. The station was too accurate, too specific, but Jack was determined to get to the bottom of it. He found the old landline phone in the kitchen, its cord coiled like a snake, and dialed the number he'd scribbled down. The phone rang once, twice, then clicked. But there was no voice on the other end, just static. The same static he'd heard between stations on the radio. Confused, he hung up. "Nothing," he said, walking back into the living room. "Just a dead line." As he spoke, the radio announcer's calm voice returned, interrupting a song. "We seem to have a caller trying to reach us. Let's see who it is." Jack and Clara froze. A moment of silence passed, and then a new sound came from the radio speakers. It was a voice panicked and desperate, a voice they both recognized instantly. It was Jack. "Hello? Is anyone there?" "My name is Jack. I'm in a cabin in Silver Creek." The recording of his own voice echoed through the room. They stared at the radio in horror. It hadn't just predicted the fire. It was broadcasting their future. The call Jack had just made was now being played back to them. The station wasn't just reporting events. It was creating them, or at least showing them what was to come. The announcer came back on. "Now for our next segment, a live report from the very cabin we mentioned earlier." A new soundscape filled the room, broadcast through the radio. It was the sound of heavy, panicked breathing. A woman crying. It was Clara's sobs, raw and terrified. And then a man's voice, Jack's voice, pleading. "Please, just let us go." "We didn't do anything." A crash followed, like furniture being overturned. Then a scream. A terrible, gut-wrenching scream from Clara, cut short by a sickening thud. Then silence. Jack and Clara clung to each other, pale and trembling. They had just heard their own violent end. The radio was a curse, a window into a future they were now hurtling towards. The announcer's voice returned, as calm as ever. A tragic turn of events at the Silver Creek cabin. A reminder to all our listeners. Sometimes it's best to just stay inside and listen. Don't try to change the broadcast. That was it. It was a rule. The voice was telling them not to leave. But the recording, the attack, it happened inside the cabin. "He's lying," Jack said, his mind racing. "The recording, it was from in here. The only way to change it is to not be here when it happens. We have to get out. Now." Clara was terrified, But the thought of staying, waiting for that horrific future to become their present, was even worse. The announcer had said, "Stay inside." It was a test, a trap. They decided to break the rule. They grabbed their keys and coats, not daring to pack anything else, and threw open the cabin door. The storm had passed, leaving behind an eerie silence. The woods were pitch black. As they ran towards their car, the radio's voice seemed to follow them, amplified by the strange acoustics of the forest. As the engine roared to life, the radio inside the car suddenly switched to a new broadcast. It was a news report. A different voice this time, a frantic one. Breaking news! A car has been found crashed in a ravine just off the main road from Silver Creek. The occupants, a young couple, appear to have lost control on the wet road. There are no survivors. Jack slammed his foot on the accelerator, peeling out of the driveway and onto the slick, winding road. They had broken one rule and escaped one fate, only to hear the radio announce another. They were driving headfirst into their new future, a future broadcast by the station that was always one step ahead. The road ahead was dark and treacherous. They could either stop the car and wait for whatever was in the woods, or keep driving and face the fate the radio had just sealed for them on the road. The announcer's calm voice echoed in their minds. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment below or follow for more folklore legends.